moving fast and furiously with our bullseye focus on entrepreneurs. And it's really all about entrepreneurs, investors, and corporate executives. The three are embodied completely in those avatars in our speakers today, so you'll hear more about that. But TiE is not just in Silicon Valley, even though it was founded here 33 years ago, but today we are 67 chapters in 15 countries, and we are very focused in Silicon Valley on being the global gateway. So we've got these immersion programs, the GTM Accelerator program that is being led by none other than Anurag. And then we have the GTM Accelerator program taught by Anurag. And that preps folks to get ready for Funding Fridays, which is usually a pre-Series A, post-Series A funding. Last year, we did 83 engagements. A big round of applause to our team and everyone who made that successful. And of course, to all of you who engage and come in as speakers, as thought leaders, and contribute in so many different ways. So one metric that I'm very proud of is $1 trillion of wealth influenced since we started. 22 million jobs created. How important is this? And especially in today's world where there's so much going on in Silicon Valley, so many good things, and yet lots of people still looking for jobs. We look forward to, Alok, your perspective on that as well. So let me just share with you. Right now, lots of focus on TiEcon 2025. Dates are April 30th to May 2nd. So thrilled to share with you. We have Shantanu Narayan, we have Vasu Jakal, who reports directly to Satya Nadella. We have the CEO of Sutter Health and PAMF. We have the CEO of Glean. And I know that there are many CEOs that have already been signed up for some of our tracks. And of course, the cherry on the cake is Satya Nadella himself will be speaking on May 1st. But confirmed speakers, as you can see, lots of them. Right now, our tracks are going to be focused, of course, how can you have an AI conversation without cybersecurity? Semiconductors and deep tech and infrastructure. So you'll see those tracks. This year, we've introduced 3 new tracks, media and entertainment. And we've also introduced retail tech and e-commerce. And in addition, automotive and mobility. And then there is actually one more. You'll probably hear a little bit about space tech as well. And with that, we can get on with business and get to our 2 guest speakers. I want to kind of first start with Ujjal K. Ujjal is been a serial entrepreneur, been a corporate executive, and he has done some amazing work with both being a CMO at AirTouch back in the day, and also McKinsey and Intel. So he's seen the Valley going through all its various ups and downs. And of course, the key person we want to hear from today is Dr. Alok Aggarwal, also from IIT Delhi, went on to do his PhD at Johns Hopkins, and then joined IBM, has been in research, he was one of the first folks who worked on an AI solution between 1992 and 1995, which was commercially sold and was a supply chain solution. So no surprise that he's written a book on the 4th Industrial Revolution and 100 years of AI. A lot of controversy. We'll talk about that. Delighted to have you here. Absolutely. The 2 gentlemen, please sit down. The question, when I think of both of you and how accomplished you are, is top of mind. I thought I had your book somewhere. I always wonder what inspired you to do this with all your busy schedule.
After IBM Research in 2000, I started a company which had nothing to do with AI. provides research and analytics services out of India, China, Chile, Romania, called EvalueServe. But I wanted to go back and started this company called Scry AI. Scry, the word means basically crystal ball gazing or fortune telling, predictive analytics, so that's why the name. And in 2017, I was asked by the top people in Wells Fargo to come and give a talk about AI in 2017. And then I realized how little people know about AI, and it was just beginning to be a big a household name, or at least a boardroom name, and how little they know. So that was the starting point. I wrote 4 articles in 2018 and published them. And then my wife got after me, it's always the wives, of course, as spouses, that you should write a book on it. So I started writing, and this is what it came out.
Absolutely.
It's not an easy book to read. It looks easy, by the way. And Ujjal has read all of it. He was one of the few people who read and gave comments. And the first time around, he says, yeah, some people can understand, some won't. I understand it. And I had to rewrite the book after he said that.
All right. So, by the way, I highly recommend the book. I was able to read early drafts of it. And for months after that, I would go to parties and terrorize everyone there. They had no idea how I knew so much about AI, which was an emerging field. And I never told them about the draft. So I highly recommend it. It's to get a good foundation on the book. So let's do this. Maybe I'll terrorize this guy for about 20 minutes or so with my questions. As hostel mates, I can take some liberties that maybe others can't. So Alok, let's start at the top. It says the 4th industrial revolution. So after maybe steam engines, electric motors, CPUs, this is the 4th. Did I get that right?
That's right.
Okay, so unpack that for the audience. What is this thing about the 4th industrial revolution?
So first, when I started writing the book, I had no intention of writing about the 4th industrial revolution. But there were some interesting things which I wanted to point out about what happens when things get hyped up, when things fall down, and so on. So this was actually something that I had to read a lot about the previous industrial revolutions. And part of it is the book starts with the 4th industrial revolution because there are 8 characteristics which I was able to find. Interestingly, very little has been written about the industrial revolutions in general and what is common among them. By no means are these 8 characteristics the only ones. I am hoping others will write more. But they are the ones which you see in the first revolution, second industrial, third industrial revolution, and we are seeing it in the 4th one. So that's partly what the theme also runs along with AI about the 4th industrial revolution. And themes are interesting. Always it is about job loss, Luddites, breaking machinery in 1600s, then people getting worried, people losing jobs, new jobs being created, hype goes down, is hype a bad thing, and so on and so forth.
Great. So my second question is about something that you've discussed in the book that I still don't agree with. And you've cautioned in the book that these revolutions took a long time. There's this hype cycle, and then there's a crash, and then it takes a while, maybe many years. And so let me frame my question. I think things have changed a lot because information travels much more quickly now. Let's ask, how many years did it take for electricity to reach 100 million people? And the answer is about 75 years. What about cars? 40 to 50 years. Okay. What about the internet? 16 years. What about cell phones? 12 years. What about Facebook? 2 years. What about TikTok? 9 months. What about ChatGPT? Anyone know?
2 months.
2 months.
2 months.
And DeepSeek might be even quicker. So I see an exponential curve. Why are you so cautious?
So we have to look at it from 2 perspectives. One is B2C, when you're talking about consumers, and the second is B2B. So a lot of the examples you've given, and smartphone can be one of them, took much less time because it's a person who's buying it and buying it relatively for a price which may be anything from zero, at least perceived zero. There may be marketing that's going on behind in Facebook, in Google, etc., to something maximum of $500, $800. As opposed to B2B, where the problems begin to happen. And if AI is going to really make a case, not just ChatGPT. By the way, I would argue that ChatGPT was not 2 months. If you look at GPT at OpenAI, they started with GPT 2.0, then 3.0, then 3.5, and that is when things began to start. And I haven't captured the 18th chapter. Against my wife wishes, she said, you should write 18 chapters because it'll be like Bhagavad Gita. I said, no, 18 chapter will be written somewhere else, sometime later, and it won't be 18, but maybe more. But having said that, I think it took almost ChatGPT or OpenAI 2 years. During that period, it went from being non-for-profit to a profit organization. But again, right now even, I would again argue that GPTs are B2C right now. Last year, according to Accenture itself, its annual report, they had at least 500 GPT-related POCs in B2B domain. They made $1.5 billion. How many went to production? Less than 10. This is well known, yeah, because I don't work for Accenture. I just find it out. Recently, the CEO, Julie Sweet, even said that we are not going to see that.
One question that's on a lot of people's minds is the impact on jobs. And recently, a narrative has emerged that the first area to take a huge hit might be coders. And you might have seen that January to December, there was an unexpected massive drop in IT unemployment, unprecedented. And you heard Mr. Pichai say that maybe 25% of some corpus of code is AI generated. I myself spoke to a Google engineer who said, I'm 50% more efficient now, and easily, if not more. So there's a narrative that all we need is senior coders and AI. There's no room left for junior coders. And in fact, many of our kids are struggling to find jobs. That's a common story. So what are your thoughts about job loss, first about coders and then in general?
So I think that that'll happen. In the book, in chapter 16, I cover job losses and job gains quite a bit. And I do think by 2050, when the population of the world will be about 10 billion, we would have about 400 million job losses. So just to give you an idea, about 400 million per year job loss. Currently, the total number of jobs that are in US is about 160 to 165 million, so 2.5 times. The number of jobs that, not partial employment, but total employment, number of jobs in India is about 420 million. So literally you're talking about an India worth of jobs being lost. I don't think this will happen overnight. People can say it's 50% efficient, they can say it's 5% efficient. Things don't work that way. If just efficiency and cost was the issue, all of the work today, talking about knowledge process outsourcing, talking about business process outsourcing, ITO, information technology outsourcing, India still continues to be 1/4 the cost of US. All of the jobs should have gone to India. But how many jobs have gone to India over a period of 30 years? It's only about 12 million jobs total around the world that have gone to India. How many jobs has US lost in all of these sectors combined? It's only about 10.5 million. Take another example, manufacturing. How many jobs have been lost to China from US? Total of 18 million. Yeah? So that's over a period of 40 years. So yes, job losses will occur. If you ask people how many of them, there was a Pew Research survey done, it came out only 2 days ago. How many of them have used it to improve efficiency? It's less than 3% in all the industries combined. So yes, this will happen. Google is, of course, there will be early adopters. Fortunately, unfortunately, there are very few of them. But then comes in the B2B drag, which is the mid-management will slow it down for various reasons. And this is part of the industrial revolution I talk about.
Cool. I also noted that recently you've been a bit of a troublemaker on LinkedIn. And there was a certain post which became very controversial. Speak openly about what happened.
So I don't know how many of you saw Sam Altman went to India about 2 years ago. And there was a discussion with the CEOs. Actually, TiE and NASSCOM arranged that discussion also. And he was asked by one of the very well-known entrepreneurs, Fractal Analytics, who asked him, do you think India can produce the next LLM? And he said, for $10 million or so, $10 million or so. And Sam said, I don't think so. And then he says, well, prove me wrong. But then he went back and he says, no, I don't think you can prove me wrong. He said something like that. Now, that could be tongue-in-cheek. And now DeepSeek comes, and one can argue how much DeepSeek has distilled and so on, supposedly created for 5.6 million. And my LinkedIn post was, Sam Altman cannot compete with DeepSeek. He cannot create what DeepSeek created because he already, OpenAI is so burdened with extra costs that he can't think, which in Silicon Valley, by the way, it's my general view, that we are all overburdened because VCs want to put in money, Ps want to put in money, then they say, use it, and then you may overuse it. But that's what, as Ujjal said, that's what created some controversy. More than I expected, not that I am against it, but more than I expected.
Alok, you put that very mildly, that Sam Altman would have a hard time. But your LinkedIn post said that it is hopeless for Sam Altman
because
to
those
compete.
Are the words he used.
Yes. So that apart, it being hopeless for Sam Altman, really the question I have is, CapEx is a huge deterrent to the democratization of AI. What do you think is going to be happening over this next 5 years as the industry kind of starts to move forward? Give us some predictions. We'll challenge the speakers at TiEcon with those.
Yeah, usually Ujjal tells me not to give predictions, but I give it anyway, so it won't stop me this time. So I think there are two I personally feel. I do believe, and my own view is, although we do not know, that GPT-4 was actually distilled from GPT 3.5 and many other LLMs. By the way, there are 183 LLMs right now. For those who say, look, this area is moving so quickly, I say, but every now and then a car manufacturer comes up with a new model. We don't say car manufacturers are moving quickly, because to me, LLMs seem to be saturating. But the two basic things, we have to create these LLMs at a very low price. That is the model creation or building, which DeepSeek said. And you can argue that, okay, they distilled it, they took from GPT-4, they took it from Llama, and so on and so forth. Happens all the time, all the power to them. India should do the same. Other countries should do the same. But there is a big area which is still not completely tapped, and that's inferencing. So if you want to put DeepSeek or GPT-4 and you want to use it for inferencing in, let's say, in B2B, it requires huge amount of GPUs, and they need to come down for democratization. And I do believe that will happen in the next 5 years. The other interesting thing which I see, and again, I haven't written, and this will be controversial also, I personally believe hyperscalers are all in trouble. I think they've made their money. It's no different than electricity. They're out to give you CPU compute, GPU compute, some communication. Why wouldn't Reliance or somebody from some other inexpensive country, less expensive country like China, create data centers at 1/3 the cost and sell those? And if that seems like a far-fetched view, there is a company called Hetzner. So our costs, we are not large. Our costs went through the roof with AWS. We moved to Hetzner. Hetzner for the same GPU charges 1/3 the cost of AWS. And again, I go back to it is impossible or hopeless for Sam Altman to compete with DeepSeek. I would again argue that it would be very hard for these hyperscalers to compete with companies like Hetzner or tomorrow Reliance, because once you bloat your organization, you cannot put the thing in the bag back. You have opened a genie's, a massive box with every kind of creature going out. I saw that with IBM Research and with IBM in general. We were never able to bring our overheads down.